All right, let's cross to Georgia now. We have former ambassador to Ukraine and Russia, Valeri Chechelash-vili, I tried to get that name right on the first try, sorry, joins us. He's currently a board member of the Georgian Strategic Analysis Center in the capital, Tbilisi. Ambassador, thanks so much for joining us. So when you look at what's happening now, to what extent are there parallels to the Russian incursion into Georgia back in 2008?
Well, it's the same story, and I believe that if in 2008 we would have the same support from the West, it would go in different direction. But unfortunately, may I remind you, audience, that after Russia invaded Georgia in 2008, Russia was not even expelled from G8 group, and after 3-4 months it was business as usual with Russia. So then came 2014, annexation of Crimea, and now we have this full scale invasion in Ukraine. But the good news is that I think at the moment anti-Russian coalition and international full-scale coalition in support of Ukraine is strengthening day by day, and it's, I think, a good demonstration of strength and of resolution to oppose Russian invasion in Ukraine and defend the values of free world.
Yeah, all very good points, Ambassador. You know, prior to this happening, even as the world watched Russia mass more than 150,000 troops at Ukraine's border, there was still a lot of analysis that this would be so wildly unpopular in Russia, that this would tank the Russian economy, that this would be the death knell for Vladimir Putin's regime, that there's virtually no way he would do something like this. And then, of course, we see this happen. Was this surprising to you?
No, it was not surprising to me, but I think that it was a big surprise for Mr. Putin. And you are completely right that a lot of people, including serious intellectuals in military field, who were always like militaristic, they had militaristic approach to Russian policy, like generals Hodaryonok and General Ivashov. They all warned Putin, but I think that Putin miscalculated the reality, and he was in a kind of his information bubble. He was certain, he was sure that Ukrainian population will meet him with flowers. But now we see that heroic Ukrainian people stands together with government, President Zelensky. Actually, his rating of President Zelensky is now above 91% and tripled in the last 3 weeks, which means that Ukraine stands firmly against invasion of Russia. And actually, I agree with this young man from Ukraine that Ukraine is now defending not only its sovereignty and freedom, but freedom and sovereignty of Europe and Georgia, also my country. So we all have to do anything we can in order to expand the capacity of Ukraine to counter this invasion.
You know, we knew ahead of time what costs were likely to be levied on Russia if it took exactly this type of action. So it's very hard to wrap your head around what Putin's thinking was, what he could possibly have gained in this situation versus what he's going to have to pay for it.
Well, I think that now it's clear for everybody what is the main goal of Putin. His main goal is actually reconstruction of the Soviet Union in this or another form, and it's clear now that his policy is in neighborhood. It has two goals. First, to combine, to bring together parts of former Soviet Union, former republics, some of them, and we believe, for example, that at least at the moment Belarus is already in. but also together with former republics to bring these breakaway regions from different republics like Moldova, Ukraine, and Georgia, and in this way to construct this modernized so-called Soviet Union. Plus, he has an intention to have his sphere of influences around this so-called Soviet Union too, and this was his whole policy before this war started, and his ultimatum were a vivid demonstration of this fact. Actually, this was not a diplomacy; this was just ultimatum, because diplomacy is the ability to find and reach compromises. It was not about compromises, it was not about the security system of Europe. It was about expanding the space of influence for Russia with this nucleus of so-called new Soviet Union space.
You know, he has very few allies at this point. One of them, however, is Belarus. And we're hearing threats from Belarus like this is going to launch World War III. Watch out, because in coming days, the situation in Ukraine is going to be like a meat grinder. We see Russia putting its nuclear arsenal on high alert. To what extent are you worried that Putin is at the point where he is going to escalate this?
Well, that's very dangerous development. And but actually, we have to make our decisions. I mean, the free world, all of us united together in our attempts to deter Russia, because this nuclear blackmail will continue. But I mean, what we are supposed to do? Are we supposed to surrender and to fulfill all wishes of Mr. Putin and his team? Well, it's impossible, and Ukrainian people already demonstrated that Ukrainian people will not accept that. So, and you are right saying that actually President Putin doesn't have any friends anymore. If you speak about Lukashenko is not a friend; he's a satellite. And what I have to what inspires me also in these developments is that the strong anti-war movement is gaining momentum now in Russia itself. And having in mind on all these Russian propaganda attempts, it was a very good surprise for me. And I think that it was a very bad surprise for Putin, because only last day, the thousands and thousands of people showed up in 50 cities of Russia, and 2,700 people were detained only yesterday. Right. So I think that this combined international coalition against Putin and anti-war movement in Russia itself, as well as expanding the capacity of Ukraine and providing assistance to Ukraine, all this together will help us to deal with this threat which Russia is source of.
Got it. All right, Ambassador Valeri Chechelash-vili, such a pleasure. Thanks for sharing your insights with us.
Thank you.